Welcome to Monsters and Whatnot, where today a Warhammer 40K Space Marine Dreadnought is corrupted by the forces of chaos. When I unearthed my old Space Marine models from over a decade ago, I found this Salamander's Dreadnought, poorly sculpted flames and all. After a bath in simple green and some light scrubbing, it was good as new. The idea for this conversion is centered around the side armor plates showcasing the tortured faces of the damned in a gross, fleshy amalgam. For those faces, I'm using some Zombicide models I haven't gotten around to painting yet, plus a few HeroClix as well. Since I do intend to paint those models, I'm using oyumaru to make molds and copies of their faces. Oyumaru is basically the same thing as blue stuff, just clear, I think. I drop a block of it into a cup of boiling water and wait a minute or so until it's pliable. Then I take pieces of the oyumaru and press them into the parts of the model I want to copy and then set aside to cool before separating. I mix up some milliput superfine white to cast the copies. Milliput is kind of brittle, so I also use kneadatite putty because it flexes some after it's cured. Off camera, I cut the outside frame part of these side plate bits away to add onto the model. This will set the faces further back and look like they're coming out of the armor instead of just placed on top. After cleaning up some of the flashing, the faces are glued into place. I mix up kneadatite to blend all the faces together and make the transitions wavy to look more like stretched skin while avoiding covering any major facial detail. I use a variety of tools, but mostly color shapers and ball styluses. On the back exhaust, I cut off the original skull emblem and replace it with a Chaos star molded from an Age of Sigmar Chaos horse. The star is applied before the kneadatite is cured so it can be blended onto the model. I do end up losing some of the fine detail in the skull, but it's good enough for me. On the last cannon arm, I custom fit a Chaos star molded from an Age of Sigmar shield. I have to shorten and switch around a few of the points on the star to fit, then fill in any gaps or cut lines with more putty. Then I take a skull molded from that same Age of Sigmar horse, it's really more of a hell unicorn though, isn't it? And glue it on top of the last cannon. I had to cut off the scope to make room, but I'll extend it and add it back in later with plastic tubing. Back to the torso, I cut out the middle sarcophagus cover and filled the cavity with aluminum foil and set it in place with a bunch of super glue and activator. I attach a demon prince head with a short length of wooden skewer and blended it in with kneadatite. Different sizes of guitar string were cut and inserted into the putty to look like cables and wires. The kneadatite that was still visible was sculpted to look like the same kind of flesh that's on the side armor plates. I liked how the side armor plates were bordered in, so I did my best to freehand sculpt the same kind of framing on the leg armor plates. It's a little janky looking, but it's chaos, so it's all good. Once cured, I glued some faces, arms, and hands to the leg armor and blended those in as well. Switching to the left arm, I add what I think was supposed to be like a shoulder pad tabard to add a little bit more visual interest to that side of the model. The fingers were also cut away to make room for chain swords. This is definitely the more cobbled together looking arm. And just like the exhaust on the back, I take another Chaos star and blend it onto the shoulder. The base was done up pretty quickly with cork super glued in place and with pebbles, sand, and baking soda applied randomly on top. This video is more about the conversion process than the painting process, plus filming miniatures in focus is a fine art that I haven't quite mastered yet. Being a week behind releasing this video, I quickly painted it off camera in a corn color scheme. Here's all the supplies I used to finish the model. Like a true heretic, I committed the cardinal sin of using craft paints instead of paints meant specifically for miniatures. But overall, I like how this Helbrute conversion turned out. The faces on the chest and legs and the demon prince head have a Freddy Krueger kind of quality to them. And the last cannon ended up looking pretty decent too. I have some conversion ideas for Chaos cultists I'd like to do, so let me know if you'd like to see a video on that, and leave any feedback or suggestions you might have in the comments below. If you like this video, DDT that thumbs up button and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.